Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today I am up in north of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I'm actually visiting with American Rotary, who is a sponsor of my channel. You guys see the little ad at the beginning of all my videos, and if you follow my channel a lot, you've heard me talk a lot about them many times over the years. But I was up in the area, had a chance to come by and visit their factory, and I'm sitting here today with Chris, who's with American Rotary, and I thought we'd just talk a little bit about their phase converters and tell you a little bit about them, what makes them unique, and why they're a good option for folks. So first off, Chris, introduce yourself there.
How you guys doing? I'm Chris from American Rotary. I'm the Director of Sales and Business Development here, and it's a privilege to have Keith up here. This is actually the most amount of time I've known you for a while, and this is the most amount of time that I've actually got to spend with you. I got to take him out and show him my house today, and took him out to lunch and showed him around our little town here in West Bend, Wisconsin that we love, and you got to see some of the fall colors and the rolling hills.
Yeah,
and,
it's beautiful up here.
It's a great conversation so far, so this has actually been really nice to be able to have this time with you,
yeah.
You know, instead of just being like, hey, we're gonna sponsor your channel. You know?
and it's crazy, it's true. You know, I've met Chris, I don't know how many times, you know, at different events that we go to, like the Barzy Bash and whatever, but those days are always so crazy, so many people around that I like I said, we've spent more time together here.
Yeah, it's always like, hey Keith,
else.
Good to see you, Keith. Bye, Keith. So
a little bit about phase converters. First off, what is a rotary phase converter? Why do you need one?
So anytime you want to run any type of three-phase equipment, it doesn't matter what it is, anything that is three-phase can be run off a phase converter.
Right.
We run everything from ice cream machines to irrigation equipment, grain dryers, lathes, mills. I mean, you name it, we can run it. So if you have a need for three-phase, which everybody should have a need for three-phase. If you have a need for three-phase, our phase converters can power the equipment that you have. And you know, one thing that I try to explain to people is that there's so much quality equipment out there. I have books for auctions, and they're this thick, and you got to read them with a magnifying glass because the print's that small. With all the items that are available, the old machines and equipment and stuff that's out there that you can run off a phase converter, and people don't know that it's that easy to get a phase converter.
Right. And one thing, I always get comments from folks, particularly people that are outside the U.S. They don't understand why everybody doesn't have three-phase power in their house. And there are reasons why we don't have that here in the U.S. I don't personally think there are good reasons, but there are reasons. But it's just the simple fact that we live with. Most homes, not all, but most homes, most people who have a home shop, you're not going to have access to three-phase power because the infrastructure is just not there for it, particularly in residential areas. In more industrial areas, yes, you might be able to get it into a home shop, but for most people, you know, in a garage or a workshop behind the house or something like that, and even at some places in industrial settings, they don't have access to three-phase power. What we can do with the phase converters, we can take that single-phase power and basically create that third leg that's missing so that we can run three-phase equipment.
Yeah, that's right, Keith. And at American Rotary, we're not just about phase converters. We offer a complete three-phase solution for you, for businesses. That's what we're here for. We want to be that one-stop shop for everybody. So we have a full inventory of transformers you saw today. We can take, you know, do voltages 600 volt, 480 volt, you know, if you need it. I mean, a phase converter changes phases. It doesn't change voltage, which a lot of people get confused about. They think, I'm going to get a phase converter, I'm going to get 480 volt. Yeah. That's not how it works. So, you know, whatever you put into a phase converter is what you're going to get out. So if you feed it with 208 single phase, you're going to get 208 three phase out, 240, 480. Now, the thing is, we are able to use a transformer to be able to step up or step down that voltage if you do have a higher voltage. And we don't just sell transformers to people that have phase converters. We sell them to people that have three-phase power already and need to change that voltage. We offer a line of motor starters. We offer enclosed contactors, remote start options. You know, we can automate the phase converter so that it turns on and turns off as you need it to without having to do anything. Your machine sends it a signal, tells it to turn on, and when your machine shuts off, the phase converter shuts off. Right. So there's a lot of things that we do here at American Rotary that people don't realize. In addition to that, we also do three-phase breakers, three-phase panels, disconnects. We do single-phase disconnects, single-phase panels. We can do, you know, pretty much anything power-wise that you need, but primarily we deal with three-phase.
Great. And with the phase converters, we got back behind us, I guess, probably your three most popular types of phase converters that you offer. Tell us a little bit about the different models and why you would pick one over the other for different applications.
Yeah, definitely. So as you see here, we've got our ADX series, our AI series, and our AMP series here. All of them serve a different purpose. We also have our other models, which is our AR, our AD, our AUL, but each model has a certain customer in mind or a certain machine that it would run in mind. So let's start right here with this unit here, the AI unit. AI unit's a great unit. We're actually talking today, this one's just changed the color to this desert sand. We're really excited about it. It's a new type of paint. We've got some new components on the inside of it that are going to be, you know, rolling out, and we're really excited about that. But this is our NEMA 3R outdoor, dust-proof, it has rodent-proof screens, lifetime wash-down filter. This is for the person that has maybe a really dirty shop. The environment's really dirty. They want to put it outside because maybe they don't have room in their shop.
Right.
You have one, and yours is outside.
Yeah, this is the one I have in my shop, and it sits outside. I don't have it inside the shop at all, so it's completely weatherproof, which is great for that.
Jim Bollinger at Do Right Fabrications. Yep. He has an outdoor unit too. You know, there's a number of people that use them that are not in an agricultural atmosphere. I've got guys that just throw them out in the middle of the field to run their center pivots.
Right.
And it's funny because I'll go out and visit some of them, and they don't have it on a pad. They don't have it on stone.
It's sitting in the dirt.
It's half sunk down into the mud, but it works.
Yeah, it
you know,
works.
so this thing is ducted. It cleans. It circulates the air through the filter. You can have lockouts on it. It's got the NEMA 3R waterproof switch. But again, there's a lot of things we can do with that one. So that would be for anybody who has a dirty environment, wants to keep it protected from the elements, put it outside, and so on and so forth. The ADX series is going to be our most popular line. That's the red one over here. Mm-hmm. We just changed the color. Actually, it'll be about 4 weeks before this color actually rolls out. It used to be a black panel. But we wanted to differentiate the ADX from our other units, so we made a couple changes internally to it, as well as we changed the color, which I really like. So that unit is going to be our extreme duty. So this is for someone who might want to run multiple pieces of equipment, different types of equipment, different types of loads, or someone that has a high inertia load, a bandsaw, a wide belt sander, a dust collector, a pump of sorts, anything like that, an air compressor. That's what the ADX has in mind. But what's nice, or what we had in mind when we built the ADX, but what's nice about the ADX is it has that extreme duty features that allows higher amounts of current to go through it and gives you more power, but it's precise enough to be able to allow you to run sensitive equipment. You can run EDMs, you can run CNCs off of it.
Right.
So it gives you all of that and the sensitivity.
And this particular model has an idler motor that's separate that you would have mount wherever it's not inside the case.
So the AI unit has all of that in there. It has all the controls, it has the idler in there, it's all enclosed. The ADX would be a separate panel, and then the idler that's manufactured by Baldor, that we worked in conjunction with Baldor to engineer and design. It's actually a true soft start induction generator, so it's not a motor. So everybody always asks for the motor specs on it. It doesn't have a motor rating. It has a generator rating. So it's rated in kVA. It doesn't have any type of motor classifications to it whatsoever. So that can be confusing. So people say, well, what's the difference between a motor? Because it looks like a motor to me, you know. If it looks like a motor, if it smells like a motor, it's got to be a motor, right? Well, the American Rotary soft start generator, it is a true soft start electric generator. It uses a third of the current that a regular phase converter, a regular off-the-shelf three-phase motor would use, which is what you find from a lot of the phase converter manufacturers out there today.
Great. And then the AMP series back here.
So that amp is something that we're really proud of here. We had a need. Our customers were asking for something that was mobile and something that was able to do multiple machines at the same time, and that was plug and play. and that's what the amp is. So the amp plugs into a 50 amp, 220, 240 outlet. It has the option to have 3 different breakers and 3 different plugs. So if you wanted to have a 20 amp, a 30 amp, and a 40 amp, and different receptacles, you can run multiple pieces of machine. You can run one at a time just by turning off the breakers. It has castered wheels, 360-degree wheels on all 4s, so it's easy to get around your shop. They're pretty good quality wheel too. They're chemical resistant, so if you have coolant or oil or something on the floor, cutting oil or something, it's not going to eat up those wheels. It comes standard with a 6-foot cord, but you can get a 12-foot cord or put a longer cord on it if you want. It's got, one of the cool things about it that we designed is not only on the inside of it is there a lifting hook, but there's a lifting bar. If you turn this here, you can stick a bar through here, and you know, 1 guy or 2 guys can lift it up, or you can use a hoist or whatever you want to do to lift it up. And we've even got a couple other little features that down the road we might be adding to this, but it's all ready to go in case we do.
Great.
So it's a great unit for anybody who's on the go, wants to take a phase converter with them. If you're taking it to a job site, if you have a shop that maybe your equipment's spread out and you want to roll it up and down and you don't want to spend all the money hardwiring everything in and running it to a 3-phase panel and then your equipment, because wire is not cheap, let's be honest.
Right.
So this is a lot more cost-effective way. The price point on this is a little bit higher than maybe your ADX. However, if you look at what you're saving in installation costs and materials, it's very, very reasonable.
I really like this unit for the home shop guys, and the reason that I do is because it has basically your breakers where you can actually have different loads for different motors. Say you've got 3 or 4 different machines that you're running in your shop that are different horsepower motors. You can actually put a breaker on there to give motor protection right built into the phase converter without having to go through a separate panel or whatever. It's all right there in one unit. I think that's a really neat feature. And 2, in most home shops that guys are working in, you're probably only going to be running 1 machine at a time, but you may have multiple machines that you want to run off a phase converter. So you can just plug in whatever you're using to this 1 machine, be able to roll it around your shop if you want to. It's really just a nice package all right there together. You know, particularly if you like in your garage, you don't want to go in there and install a 3-phase panel so you have proper breakers and everything like that. It's just a great option for something along those lines. So, a couple of questions for you. These are questions that I get from my viewers asking me all the time.
I'm gonna be in the hot seat here.
So number 1, a lot of people say, well, you know, why do I need to get a phase converter when I can just go get a VFD or variable frequency drive and be able to use that to create 3-phase power? What's the advantage of a rotary phase converter over a VFD?
Sure. So there are VFDs out there that are cheap. You can find them. But what do you get with cheap? Less quality. The American Rotary Phase Converters are made here in America. You're supporting people in this country that are working really hard to give you a quality product. We're keeping jobs at home, and we try to source everything as local as we can and as close to home as we can. We really put a lot of pride into these. One of the things is that all 3 of these models right here have a lifetime warranty. Actually, in fact, as of the beginning of this month, all American Rotary Phase Converters have a lifetime warranty. It doesn't matter if you buy our entry level or if you buy our top of the line. We offer a lifetime warranty on all of them. VFDs, most of them come with about a 90-day warranty. If you can find one with a longer than 90-day warranty, you're pretty lucky. The other thing is there's a lot of programming that goes into a VFD. These are really plug and play. Either one, anywhere you go, you just wire these in, and they work for you. There's no programming. There's no trying to read the instructions. I remember being down at the Good of the Land Fest 2 years ago, and somebody sent Justin a VFD, and they wanted him to. I don't know if they wanted him to promote it or what the deal was. It took Stan and I I don't know, 3.5, 4 hours.
There's a lot to
try to get that VFD program because none of the instructions were in English.
Yeah.
So we just kind of played with it. We figured it out. We Googled some stuff. We looked up some YouTube videos to try to figure out how to get the settings on it. We eventually got it working. But, you know, those are things that are issues with VFDs. Longevity. We've been in business for a really long time, and we have customers that have our first units, and they call us and they're like, I just need to change my capacitors out. Okay, we'll send you the capacitors. Some of the other things are, a VFD is going to be, unless I actually heard this the first time I heard the story today was about anybody putting a VFD on a cart and rolling it around and hooking up different machines to it. I've never heard that before. So
I haven't either.
VFD is typically going to be hooked up to that one piece of equipment.
Right.
And it's going to be,
they're typically sized for that piece of equipment.
Correct.
Yes.
And a VFD, you still have to go 2 times the size. Listen, a VFD was not designed, the functionality of it was really not to make 3-phase power.
It's designed to vary the frequency of the power, right?
Exactly.
Variable speed.
One of the other big things that I like to talk about VFDs is that a VFD is going to have a lot of harmonics. So the higher in horsepower you go, so for example, you still have to go 2 to 1. On some features with the phase converter or some equipment, you can go 1 to 1, you can go 1.5 to 1. We recommend 2 to 1 because it gives you the optimal efficiency. Right. But same thing with VFDs. You should go 2 to 1. Now I know there's going to be people in the comments that are just saying, "Oh, I do this," or "I have a half horse and I'm running a 1 horse." That's fine. If it works, it works, right? But the harmonics that are put back on the lines, utility companies can't stand it. Your neighbors don't like it. You wouldn't want somebody keying up a ham radio when you're watching your favorite sport channel. So I know that if I'm watching the Green Bay Packers game, go green and gold, I don't want my TV going crazy. But utility companies, they get complaints. They don't like the harmonics on there either. And what that is it's backfeeding into the utility line.
Right.
And so that's where you have to buy a line reactor. Line reactors cost money. If you buy a really good quality VFD and you actually hook it up the way that technically you're supposed to with a line reactor, and you're going to spend just as much, if not more, than you would on a phase converter.
A VFD has its place. They're extremely valuable tools for what they're designed for. And yes, you can use them to create 3-phase power. But here's my biggest thing is that, the guy says, well, I'm only going to have this 1 mil, and that's the only thing in there. And okay, yeah, you might be able to get by cheaper, but then inevitably what happens is 6 months later, we're like, well, I've decided now I'm going to get a lathe, and now I'm going to get this. Well, now they've got 2 VFDs, they got 3 VFDs, they got 4 VFDs. Before long,
Keith, let me stop you right there.
You've spent more money on VFDs than if you just ever bought a phase converter.
But wait a minute. So the 2 things I want to say. So one is, there's no man out there or woman that's not happy with just 1 piece of equipment or 1 tool. Come on, I have 1 screwdriver in my drawer.
Right.
Just 1. I only have 1 wrench. I can do everything on a mill that I can do on a lathe.
Yeah.
No. The second thing I want to say is, are you telling me that I can just plug this into a panel and I can run as many pieces of equipment as I want? Is that what you're telling me? That's true. Yeah. You can run as many pieces. I have a customer that's out in Sharon, Massachusetts, okay? And they have a water treatment facility. And they have one of our phase converters. They're running 26 motors off of it.
Yeah.
They couldn't get 3-phase power. They were waiting for 2 years to get 3-phase power for this, I believe it was like a private care facility or something, and they could not get the approvals from the city, the EPA, the DNR, everybody that they had to get involved to get approvals to bring this 3-phase power in. They couldn't get it done in time to open up this facility. They were behind on schedule. We got them the phase converters. They just took them out of commission. They've been running them for 3 or 4 years. And they just took them out of commission because they just got 3-phase power. Now imagine if you had to go 4 years with a building that just sat there empty, losing profitability. They found a solution. They found us. We made it happen for them. And we are super happy that we were able to be part of their success story. So that's the thing. If you have equipment just sitting around, and we've seen this during, the state of our country, the pandemic, everybody's at home. They're like, hey, I should get this mill up and start making some money, or I should get this lathe up and start making some money, or I should just get these pieces of equipment up and start enjoying them. And we've seen a lot of calls flood in at that time, during this time, of people that are like, you know what, I've had this thing sitting here for years. Put your equipment to use. Yeah. Enjoy it. Enjoy what you're doing. Love it. And you never know, maybe it'll turn out to be profitable for you.
Right. Next question that I get all the time is that, hey, I can go out on the internet and I can find plans to make my own phase converter. I mean, all you need is a 3-phase motor and some capacitors and some wire and a motor starter, and boom, I can make my own. So why would you tell someone to buy an American Rotary phase converter over than just cobbling your own together in your garage?
Well, we've been doing this a long time, first of all. We've been doing this for years. We've perfected, or I guess almost perfected, or really worked hard to make it good. You know, the product it speaks for itself. It's a quality product. We make sure it's safe. We've done vigorous testing. We didn't take shortcuts. Our wiring is to code. We follow UL standards. We use UL components. We know the measurements. We've done the calculations. We have engineers on staff that test it. They use theory. They use, you know, actual laboratory testing. We have a lab right over here. We scope everything. We make sure that it's safe to go in your home. I got a story to tell you. I've never told you this story. I was on a farm in northern Wisconsin, actually, and the guy had a phase converter that he made. I'm not joking you, this phase converter was about 12 feet wide, and it was in 8-foot cabinets. And it was filled with capacitors. I mean, there was, I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you how many capacitors there were. This guy had this phase converter, and he was running a bunch of different motors, and in fact, one of the motors, to get it started, he had this rope hanging over the barn beam in the barn, and you had to wrap it around the shaft, and you had to drop something, and it was just a mess. And I told him, I said, this isn't safe. He's like, I've been running like this for 20 years. So 2 years ago, that was 5 years ago, 2 years ago, he called me. He burned down his property. Now, accidents can happen, anything can happen, you know, and that was an extreme case. But safety is important. And we've done the best to make sure that these enclosures, you know, contain any type of anything that might happen. If there's a capacitor that might blow, those capacitors are filled with oil and paper, and you know, that gets mixed in with electricity and so on and so forth. That's protecting you. It's protecting your family. It's protecting your other equipment and your property. So that's the most important thing for me. The other reasons why is balance. You might think it's balanced, and you might think that it's best for your piece of equipment, but what happens when you're like, hey, I'm going to just go throw this Bridgeport on it, or I'm going to throw this saw on it, or I'm going to throw this. That changes things. If you custom balance it for one piece, you have to keep, you know, screwing around with it. We have voltage monitoring, we have power factor correction, we have a lot of different features that protect, not, you know, we already talked about the safety issue, but that protect the phase converter itself and protect your equipment. And equipment's not cheap. You don't want to be burning up motors on your air compressor. You don't want to be burning up drives. I mean, price out a drive on a Haas sometime. I mean, you're, you know, so it just makes sense that you let the professionals do it. I wouldn't go to my dentist for my chiropractic care and vice versa. You know, I'm not going to go to my mechanic and ask him to, you know, look at my corn on my foot. You know, right. So let the professionals do it, and you do what you love, and that's machining or, you know, woodworking or whatever it might be. Do what you love and let us do what we are passionate about.
And I think you nailed it when you talked about the balance. And yeah, you can, you know, someone that is halfway decent with electronics, you can balance a phase converter to a machine. But then when you go plug in machine number 2, it's not in balance anymore, or you decide to run both at the same time. Now you got another balance. This machine, or this phase converter here, it's going to automatically monitor that, and it's automatically going to compensate for that all the time. There's electronics in here that's taking care of that. And that's not something that at least the average person is going to be able to go build in their garage.
I'm not saying that nobody can. There's not somebody out there that can't do it, because there's a lot of people out there smarter than me, and you know, and I welcome that.
You guys have spent years and years perfecting this technology, whereas you know, the average person is just not going to be able to do that.
And how many different pieces of equipment have you run on our phase converter?
I probably have 30 or 40 different motors in my shop that you know, that I'm running. I don't have to worry about it. I just go flip a switch and turn it on and let it roll.
Yeah. So,
and some of them are 1 horsepower motors, some of them are 15 horsepower motors. I got and everything in between. You know.
You have a 75 horsepower?
I got a 40 horse.
Or 40 horse. Okay.
Yeah. I got 40 horse.
I think the same one Jim Bollinger has too.
Yeah,
40
I think so.
And you know, something that we should touch base on too is there's a stigma around phase converters that they're loud. Do you want to kind of touch base on that?
Sure. I mean, well, mine's outside, so I've kind of taken care of that to some extent. But the only noise in there is the noise of the motor running. The phase converter itself really doesn't make any noise. It's really not that loud.
But the difference between, so like for example, I was in a shop and they had a 7.5 horsepower phase converter from another company that uses a motor. It's an off-the-shelf 3-phase motor. That thing sounded like there was an 20-gallon air compressor with a 10 horsepower motor going on in there, and you turn ours on and it's a hum.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it's more, if it was in your shop, it might be more of an annoyance, but you can talk over it. We can have a conversation. It's not something that you have to yell about or
it's not that loud at all.
So, and that was one of the things that a lot of you guys had said was, something that you really enjoyed was you were able to get rid of those old noisy phase converters out of your shops and have these nice quiet ones in there. So
there you go. Well, guys, I think that pretty much covers what I wanted to cover here today.
Excellent.
Chris, thanks for having me up and spending some time with me. I got to tour the factory today, and one day maybe in the future we can do a video with all the COVID stuff going on. We didn't want to get in here and carry cameras around and all that, but they got a nice operation up here. Everything's made in the USA, made right here in Wisconsin. They're a good company to deal with. If you got a problem, you can get on the telephone, you can talk to someone here, they'll help you out.
Now you can call me anytime.
Great. Well, guys, that's going to be a wrap. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and those comments and thumbs up are appreciated as always, and we'll catch you on the next video.
Thanks, guys.